that's where I am bullish that the smaller companies are going to run rounds around the bigger ones.
I mean, that makes complete sense that innovation will happen on the edges through the outlier ecosystem, and then the big players are going to come and swoop them into their ecosystem. Now, the question then comes to my mind is depending on the big company's organizational culture, will that little acquisition be able to transform the rest of the organization or become part of the calcified organization that it originally was? That'll be an interesting one
Yeah,
to see because some companies might just die out. I have a feeling that this shift that we are seeing, one, it's truly like that movie title, Everything Everywhere All at Once. There's no part of the business that you cannot rethink with AI at your fingertips. But at the same time, the speed at which the company has to pivot, shift, change, adapt, and evolve is so fast that sometimes it outpaces like the human ability to transform and change with the changing times. Like even this small example, we haven't encountered much of it yet, but think about a future state where we should get into what Claude came out with a few days ago. But before that, the example that I frequently use, and I tie it back to the impact on people in the organization, but we don't have to go there today. But I'd love to hear your take of this broadly from impact on the business and how a business functions perspective. Like if tomorrow you and I are not shopping, we have our agents and we configure those agents and we tell them, these are the specs, follow these specs and buy me this particular pair of shoe at this cost and no more. And I am not shopping now. I have just pushed out my agent who's going to go scrape the entire e-commerce ecosystem and get me the closest match to my specs. I mean, ChatGPT does that, but it's not that great. It is really in infancy stage right now, but it started. So in that case, now that consumer behavior shift has a profound impact on the anatomy of the organization. Like look at marketing department. They're all wired to, influence and impact behavior shift in humans. But now here a machine is shopping, a human is not. So a best color palette and, the punchiest line is not going to attract the machine. That has a big impact on the value that marketing team has to offer to the organizational ecosystem. And then it also has a trickle down effect on one, what does a marketing team stand for? Two, who do you have in marketing team? What are the ways of working? So everything, it's like a domino effect
yeah.
that happens with one small shift in how consumers buy products.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I love that you mentioned everything everywhere all at once because I keep seeing these slides that, back from consulting days, I still see them right now where leaders are being presented to, hey, it's crawl, walk, run. Like, I don't think it's crawl, walk, run. I think if you see that slide, you should just run away and say, this is everything everywhere all at once. Now, that does not mean you'll put guardrails and you have to be thoughtful. No, you can be thoughtful, but realize that at this point, you have to get multiple low stakes and high stakes experiments going in different areas, and as leaders, you have to put the strategy around, okay, how do we let those experiments happen and have an oversight to see that, hey, where things go wrong, can we sort of put guardrails around? And it's funny, I'll go back to like Super Bowl yesterday, right? Where one after the other, the ads, you could tell there are companies that have sort of taken the lazy path and you could tell it's a very perfect ad using AI. And then suddenly an ad comes in where you're like, this character actually looks fake. And they're going out of their way to make you feel like it's fake. And then it came out to be Anthropic saying, this is why ads have their space, but not everywhere, right? And I think there is going to be more value in you not being perfect and it being more raw. That is going to drive it. So that's one. I think that's where we're headed. From a business perspective, to answer you, let me step back on, I think, two things around this. One is a question the business asking, okay, where can we really add new value rather than just optimizing for existing value, and value being what do we deliver to a customer that they feel like willing to pay to us. Either they feel an intrinsic value to us, so they're going to pay us a premium. I think Apple products as an example, or they think we are a commodity, right? So that's where the value is. So one, thinking about where can we create new value and new ways of delivering value rather than just right changing and optimizing the value that we were created. So if you're a marketing department that said, hey, we used to do ads and they used to be very expensive to produce and then to negotiate the rates for the Super Bowl, I'm just using Super Bowl as a lightning rod. Well, that can be now reduced because we're going to use AI to do it faster. Customers not really going to care. Like that's kind of the thing. and we can negotiate better because so many people are now doing this. Versus saying, no, can I use AI to come up with something completely different that captures someone's attention, right? And gives them a different value about it. That's one. Second part is the lack of imagination, right? Can we open up what's possible here? That Gordon, I really love like the way he explains marketing. I think it was a couple of months ago, I was watching him and he said something very interesting. He said, people can mistake marketing as a rebrand. Right? When a company goes a rebrand, they're like, we'll change the way we do ads. We're going to change the way our campaigns are. Marketing is not just ads. Like marketing is whatever you do that makes your customers think, I want to buy more of what they provide. So, as an example, if you're like at a game, they're like someone selling you food during the game is a part of the experience that the overall league, right? It makes their sales better. But when you start nickeling and diming them on that food, right? You've now taken away, right, that opportunity to market for a bigger picture. So that is where I think that you'll have two parts. One is what you just said, AI bolted on. I'm thinking about marketing as, hey, we used to do ads. Can we change the value chain of ads? What are the agencies we use? What do we produce? What do we negotiate? Or say, do I even need an ad in the first place? Maybe there's an existing creator. That's why you're seeing founders be creators, right? I'm embracing that as well, that you actually put your voice out there, give something authentic. And if that automatically drives followership and people want to buy that what you're selling, great.